listening to you is you're very pithy. You've got a lot of useful frameworks that are helpful. And one of them that, as I watched a video, was it's like an equation for what an offer is. And I don't want to mess it up, but essentially on the top part of it, you know it better than I do. I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah, so I think the contribution of that book to maybe the marketing community or business community as a whole, like if it were summarized into one thing, it would probably be that equation, which is the value equation. And the reason that it actually came to be was because this came to me like 3 years ago when I was building our supplement company. And when I was doing research on supplements, it turns out that supplements there's twice as much revenue in supplements as there are in gyms as a whole. And I was like, how can that be? Right? Because like gyms obviously help way more people get in shape. I was like, but if that were, but the marketplace values what the marketplace values. So it was like, that was kind of the data point that set me on this kind of little path to figure this out. And so, and trying to compare, like, why is this thing, they both solve the same problem. Why is this one worth more? Why do people pay more for this than this? And so it came up with these 4 variables and then organized them to an equation that became a fraction, which was the value equation. So I think we have a video too, so people can see this, right? So if you draw a line in the middle of the screen, which is just the fractional line, there's the top of the equation, the numerator. I know everybody's remember from grade school, right? And the denominator is the one underneath, okay? So the first part of the equation is dream outcome, which is what is the experience or transformation that a customer is going to go through that we are promising that they're going to go through, right? And so this is more to speak that in general, if I'm talking to men, for example, and I say, I can help you make $1 million versus I can help you be handsome, right? In general, most men will value making $1 million more than being handsome. And you can see that by the size of the men's beauty market compared to the making money market for men, right? So it's not that all things, but just in general, this category of items will be higher valued than this category of items. And so that is the only purpose of this first one, is what is the experience that we're actually going to be giving, and how much value will that confer to the ultimate price we'll be able to charge. So that is variable number 1. Now, if 2 things are the same outcome, let's say it's weight loss, right? And I've got a $9 ebook and I've got a $50,000 liposuction surgery. They both have the same outcome. Why is one $50,000 and one $9? Because of the other 3 variables. So variable number 2, now that we're talking about two types of solutions to the same in the same vehicle, right? Or sorry, the same destination, but different ways of getting there. So number 2 is perceived likelihood of achievement. And to use the liposuction example, if I have 2 doctors, right, and one of them has not done a surgery yet, they're fresh out of medical school, and the other guy's done 10,000 surgeries, and they're both going to do a liposuction surgery, which of these guys would we be more likely to want to work with? Which of them would we be more likely to want to pay more? The 10,000. We probably ask this guy to pay us to be his first patient, right? and here's what's even funnier, is that of these 2 people, it'll probably take this guy longer. So it has nothing to do with time, right? We're going to get more work out of this guy. It's probably harder for this guy than it is for this guy. He does it in his sleep. But still, our perceived likelihood of getting what we want when we buy, and the important point is that it confers value to the prospect prior to the purchasing decision. So the knowledge that this guy's done 10,000 versus the knowledge that this guy's done 0 actually provides value in that can be translated into increased pricing power to a prospect. So when you start your business and you've done 100 testimonials, I used to joke, I was like, that because we raised our prices over time, and I was like, well, that was my 100 testimonial price. I was like, this is my 4,000 testimonial price. Because the likelihood that you achieve this, it would be unreasonable for you to believe that our solution will not work, right? So those are the first. It
also
2.
seems to be, especially in the internet, it's almost it appears exponential, right? When you're number 1 in a category and people just trust that it's you, given the time is finite, especially if there's any time like the liposuction doctor, he's not just charging 3 times, like he's charging an insane amount of money more, and his clientele are willing to pay for it.
And part of that's because of the delicate dance of desire, right? The supply-demand curve, right? But we can get into that later.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Number 1 for everybody is dream outcome. What's the experience, or what's the thing that we're providing? Number 2 is the perceived likelihood that the prospect believe that they will achieve it upon purchase, right? Same thing. If you get the $9 ebook, what do you think the likelihood is that you're going to lose fat on your stomach? Probably pretty small. If you get liposuction, what percentage likely do you think that you're going to actually lose fat on your stomach? Pretty fucking high. So
you mentioned testimonials. Is this the variable most influenced by marketing? And in terms
Yes.
if you have a sales page on the internet, is that what a sales page does? Is it like tries to confer certainty
marketing
in so many
fills
ways?
the hole that word of mouth does not have for a business. Because if you think about what just word of mouth is, if you have 3 friends who read the book, right, and said the book was good, I don't need to have a sales page for the book because you already have a perceived likelihood of achieving a desirable result from reading the book. Right? Just so it fills the hole if you don't have word of mouth. But yes.
Yeah, if I tell my friend to read a book, he'll just read it.
And you're already filling out that value part of the equation for them. But yes, 100% to your point. Yes, for people who for a new prospect who doesn't know who you are, your marketing, your messaging, your sales, your stories, your positioning in the marketplace overall is going to be the thing that's going to confer the perceived likelihood of achievement. So there's the top 2.
Got it.
For us as business owners and entrepreneurs and marketers, our goal is to increase this to the highest of our ability, right? We want them to have a beautiful experience, a beautiful beach in Maui that they're envisioning themselves on, and a very high likelihood of achievement. If they buy this thing, they're going to get to Maui, right? Now come the other 2 parts of the equation, which is the bottom half. These are the detractors. These are the things that take away, increase doubt, increase risk, all right? So the first is time delay. So between when I purchase and when I'm going to experience the result. And so as a fun anecdote for anybody, if you want to create value in a marketplace, look at what everyone else is doing and provide the same thing in half the time. Easiest way to provide value, right? But for most people, and I want to demonstrate this, right? So if we had a weight loss example, and I use weight loss because everyone understands it. If you were to click a button and buy a $1,000 thing for weight loss, and you're a guy, and all of a sudden you look down at your abs or your stomach, and there's just a 6-pack there, how unbelievably valuable would that thing be? Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if you were a marketing agency, which I feel like a lot of the marketing world and lots of people have their SMMAs or whatever it is, right? If someone signed up and as soon as their credit card ran, their phone rings and they pick it up while they're on the phone with you after just buying, and it's like, hey, this is Mark. I heard about your company. I just saw some of your advertisements. I'd like to, I'm interested. They'd be like, holy crap. And the thing is that the only thing that changed, that might still happen 60 days from now, but how much more valuable is the service or the product if it happens fast, right? And so the goal is that time is a huge component of value. Fast beats free. The reason Spotify was able to take over, even though there was this huge rampant piracy in the market, was that it was fast. That's how they beat free. And I've got a friend of mine who has, I think they probably have 20 locations now, who created like the MVD rather than the DMV in New Mexico. And so they got licensed through the state to provide DMV renewal services as a private company. And their whole shtick is you come in, you pay $50, you pay $50 to not have to wait. That's it. That's the entire value prop. And they kill it.
Yeah, that's TSA pre-check. That's all.
100%. And so
I wish there was more of that.
But it's one of the easiest value things to think of as an entrepreneur is like, how can I do this thing faster? So that's the third in the value equation. And the fourth and final is effort and sacrifice. And I didn't talk about this as much in the book, so I'll be able to give the listener something that's unique here. Is that effort and sacrifice? I see them as 2 sides of the same coin. Effort is things that a prospect has to begin doing that they were not doing, that they do not enjoy as a result of the purchase. So this might be, if I had a marketing agency, all of a sudden I've got to start working leads. I have to make ads that I have to give this person. I have to make creative. I have to have weekly meetings with the team and blah, 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 blah. All this other stuff that comes as a consequence of the purchase, right? The flip side, sacrifice, are what are the things that I enjoy doing that I no longer am able to do as a result of the purchase. And so a lot of times they're flip side of the coin. Like if I'm Susie and I got to wake up early because I got to go to the gym now because I'm trying to lose weight. Well, I used to sleep in, so that's a sacrifice. I'm no longer able to sleep in. The effort is that I now have to wake up. So it's kind of 2 sides of the same thing. But I like delineating the two because I think you think differently about things when you hear both sides of it. And so the idea for us as business owners is how can I get the effort and sacrifice as close to zero as humanly possible? Because in theory, and as I've kind of evolved in the business world, I used to spend the beginning part of my entrepreneurial career always focused on the top side. It was always about bigger promises, bigger claims, lots of testimonials, right? It was all the marketing side of it, right? But as I got older and we started making more money and I started observing the people who were making far more money than me and the companies that were much bigger, it became realizing that the way that those guys were providing value was on the more competitively defensible side, because anyone can make claims and anyone can have testimonials and big marketing and great copy and words and stuff. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually having the operational advantage of figuring out the way to provide the thing faster and provide the thing without effort and sacrifice on behalf of the prospect. And so that's why in the book I titled that section, Getting the Bottom to Zero, which is like, in theory, for us as entrepreneurs, if we could have anything on the top side of the equation that's positive, but the effort and sacrifice and time delay was instant, right? As soon as they purchased it, it was instant. You would have an infinitely valuable product. And if you think about like Amazon, Netflix, each of these Uber, whatever, each of these companies has this value proposition, and all of the effort in Amazon and their reinvestment strategy has been on decreasing effort and sacrificing and increasing time delay. Decreasing time delay, making things faster.
Yeah. So as I'm going through this, I was thinking of our own business, and I love it when I find ways that, I don't know if it's cut the Gordian knot or like find, oh my gosh, if I just, frame it differently. One of the things that I was coming up against, at least in my head, if it's not a limiting belief, is the physics of transformation. And so like take weight loss, for instance. You're doing gym stuff and you can always promise 7-minute abs, 6-minute abs. Right. Can you talk about designing a product that fulfills these? Like it would seem that finding an offer that did it a bigger thing, more reliably, faster, and more, like that's just hard to do.
Yes.
So operationally, and in sort of creating these products, like I know how I might love to talk about what I do, but how do I make that a thing? What are the skills that one does in order to actually devise a product that you can realistically handle being talked about in this awesome way?
Totally. So in the book, the section I go over this, and so hopefully it's not repetitive for you guys, but the audience haven't read it, so I'm going to go over this. So I think thinking about product improvement is really hard. Because what does that mean, right? But just thinking about what are the problems, every single problem, in as nuanced detail as I possibly can about the customer experience, both perceived and actual, that the customer is going through from before they start to use the product all the way through the end and after the result or experiencing the result of the product, every single micro step that occurs on that process. How can I lubricate that? How can I make it faster and easier for them? So that when they get to that, they just click cheat code and then they move through, right? And so with services, this is probably easier, right? But this is where great product and design comes into play. It's like, okay, well, if you had software, right? It's like, how many clicks do I need to get here? Is there a way that we can reorganize the UX so that we can do this in fewer clicks? How can we display the information differently? You know what I'm saying here? Like, how can we make it so the effort and sacrifice in terms of training their team and all of that stuff is decreased and minimized so that ultimately the experience is improved?
Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.